Colors are a very important part of life, and art is life. Whether you're a digital or traditional artist, choosing the right color plays a huge role in your final piece. Hi guys, the Future Art here. Today I'll be showing you guys my coloring process, how I choose my colors when painting. I'm using Clip Studio Paint, but the process I'll be showing you guys can be applied on any painting software. Without wasting time, let's get started. Don't forget to click that subscribe button. When I'm done with my sketch, sometimes I have the choice of using a skin tone on the reference or just creating mine. Instead of looking at my sketch and thinking of what to do, I just prep my mind by creating a base color. I usually create two base colors. The first base can be any color that has nothing to do with the color of the reference skin, but I still tend to choose that color carefully because after I add the base, which is the first base we are seeing right here, I then add a second base. Now this second base has a whole lot to do with the skin, but I reduce the opacity to 72%. I play around 70 to like 80% so that the first base would still pop up, and this gives a rich colored vibrance to the skin, thereby creating a proper base. So I want to show you guys how I pick the first and the second base, how I make the decision. Remember I said the first one has something to do with the skin tone, and then the second one has something to do with the reference skin tone, but I just reduced the opacity. So I'm going to explain what I mean by that because I feel like it sounded confusing. So let me explain. So let's say I want to paint a very light skinned person. First I'm going to go higher. I'm going to go up with pink. The reason why is because people who are like light skinned, they have more, like, the blood circulation is very easy to notice on their face because they have less melanin than people with darker skin tones. So that's why I always like going in with red or like loud pink. And then let me show you an example of me adding in. So I just like add this in, and then I reduce it to like 70 or so, and just like that I've created a particular like skin tone. This is already a skin tone for someone that I feel like is light, so I can decide to go in more deep, or I can just reduce it, increase this one a bit. So let me go for someone that is dark, of a very dark skin. So first, the base tone I would pick would be, let's say, towards the, let me look for something in the blue direction. Let me put something here. So this is it, and then I'm going. So this is already creating like a dark skin already. This is already like a dark skin. So let me go into medium. So for medium, I might just decide to just go for purple, like a light purple, not so loud, just a light purple. And then, or even I can just add in, or just play around. So this is basically how I play around with like skin tones and just like test which one works with which base works with which base. The method that I use to create a palette for myself before I go straight into painting. So this way I've prevented myself from picking one shade of a color. I've already introduced color into my base, and you can decide to stop here, but as you can see, it's easier to add in your shadows. So that takes us to the next step, which is shadows. When it comes to shadows, we have to think of two things. We have to think of the dark zone and the terminator. No, I don't mean that terminator. I mean the area that marks its transition from the shadows to the lights or base of the skin. Now, I'm going to first to paint in my dark areas. I'm going to use this. So this is me just going directly in for my dark area, and then for my terminator I create another layer, and then I go ahead and add this. Simple. You can notice how I'm moving around the color wheel, and I'm not just painting with the light and the dark of a particular color of the base color, because doing that will make your painting look flat and boring, totally less appealing and less vibrant. So moving on to the next phase, which is light. So I don't just go straight ahead into the light. I always tend to like create a base when it comes to light, and I build up to the highlight part. And even the highlight also has a base. I always have a base for everything. It's just my own system. Okay. All right. So but before that, I add a little bit of like blush, add a reddish feel to it. I don't know, red is just my thing. I added that to give like a blush feel to the nose and also to the cheeks, just to add a little bit of light because of how dark everything has been. I just wanted to introduce a little bit of light before I add the areas of like ambient light. So this is my light. So how I do my light, I just use my reference as guide, or I look for references as a guide, and I just go directly and start adding in the light. But before then, I already know where I wanted my light to come from. But my reference, I use reference just to guide me through, because the more you use reference, the more you have an idea of how to navigate with light, and the more you get to experiment with different lights, like patterns and how light falls on your face and all of that. So next, so now I'm going to have a highlight which is a normal one. Then I just add in the highlight, which is this. So as you can see, I first had this as the highlight, where I just highlighted parts of the hair. I wanted to have that flowy feel, and then I didn't really put much on the rest part of the face, just on the hair, because I feel like that's where I wanted the light to pop more from the hair. And then to if I want my highlight to really stand out, when I want my highlight to really stand out, I create another layer. I change the blending mode to add color or add. So let me show you how it's done. So this is it. I just change the blending mode, which is the layer zone here. I just change. So this is normal, very much normal, but this is when you do add. It gives this extra color to the whole thing, and it makes it bright. But I'm careful when I'm placing the light in this particular layer, because it will ruin the whole piece. Mind you, I already have my highlight base layer already. I'm just shining light on certain areas. So this is how I completed the piece, and then I just went in with the background, added a little of spice, the background, added light directly, know where the light source is coming from, added shadows for the back, and boom, this is pretty much it. Over each of our process, so we started with creating our beautiful base by starting off with normal colors like our pink, purple, and blue, and then we added in skin tone, reduced the opacity a bit to make it pop, and then we created our rich colorful palettes for our skin. And then we started adding our first base, which is this. We added our second base, and then we added details of our painting, which were the usual details, and then we moved into our areas of our dark depth, and then we also did our, as you know, our terminator, and then we added pink blushy feel to the whole painting, and then we added our area of lights. We added more details to our painting, and most of all, we added highlights, starting from this flow to the hair, and added our perfect highlight. Then we played a little bit with our background, and voila, our painting is done. This is how we completed the whole process. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and also turn on my post notifications so you know when I upload a new video. Thank you so much, you guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye.